All right, welcome to the Mark Driscoll Show. The young, cool, hip guys here pick some of the topics because I'm not young, cool, or hip. We're going to show you a clip right now on something called looksmacking. Is that right, gentlemen? Yeah, I feel like I need to turn in my man card for just saying that word. I feel like I just lost 10% of my testosterone saying the very word. But we'll show you the clip, and then I'll give you my take.
I live in a luxury condominium in downtown Miami, the Penthouse. My name is Clavicular. I'm 20 years old. I believe in looksmaxing. The idea of maximizing physical attractiveness by any means necessary in order to ascend. In the morning, if my jaw looks a little weak, I'll bone smash to strengthen it. My ratios are nearly golden now. Testosterone for muscle growth, disoxin as for appetite suppression, glutathione for health maxing, peptides for anti-aging and collagen production, melanotan 2 for healthy glow, IGF-1, HGH, retatrutide for leanness, dutasteride and minoxidil for hair maintenance. When it comes to ascension, if you're not looks maxing, you're not life maxing. And if you're not life maxing, you're nothing.
Are these guys straight or are they gay?
They're straight. It's like they're all part of the red pill movement.
Dude, they're straight in denial. That is the gayest of gay. That is, if gay had gay and their baby was gay, this would be the gay baby. This is so gay. So stupid. Like, if you're a dude doing this, like, immediately, please just go to a construction site and find a dude, who's got calluses on his hands and ask him if what you're doing is a good idea. And then he's going to laugh and he's going to hand you a chainsaw and tell you to stop looksmacking and start working. So this is what happens when guys live on the internet and they become brainwashed. So number one, I notice he doesn't have a dad. Number two, he doesn't have a wife. Number three, he doesn't have a kid. So what you end up doing is living on social media. And just say this, everybody on social media is lying. It's all filters, best case scenario, trying to present themselves. Just ignore all that. If you're a heterosexual guy, who cares? Just be a tough guy, be a badass, get a job. It doesn't matter if you got hairy legs and a beer gut. If you have a job and a Bible and you're dependable, you're going to be just fine. And so this is what happens when guys are on social media too much and they're focused on things that do not freaking matter. In addition, this leads to woeful insecurity. I mean, this is like the dude version of like anorexia or something, to where gals have a misappropriated understanding of their appearance and image, where a gal feels like she's unattractive when she's gorgeous, or a guy is worried about being perfect. And let me say this too. Your goal, guys, is this: honor God, get a wife, have a family, make a difference. And, if you're just a guy who spends his whole life in front of a mirror, there's something profoundly wrong with you. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be thinking about and looking at yourself. You want to be thinking about your God, your wife, your kids, your job, your ministry, your country, someone or something else other than yourself. And this is total self-absorption in a bizarre way. And if you're a guy who behaves this way, hoping to get a wife, you're going to get a shallow, worthless, hollow chick who's probably a black widow and probably Jezebel's granddaughter. You're going to get some gal that doesn't care about your soul, doesn't care about your prayer life, doesn't care about your godliness, doesn't care about your integrity. All she cares about is whether or not you can help boost her Instagram page. That means she's going to be a terrible wife. She's going to be a terrible mom. And I'll just tell you this too. I'm 55. I've been with my wife 38 years. We just celebrated 38th anniversary of our first date. Gravity is undefeated. Just write that down, boys. Gravity is undefeated. At some point, it doesn't matter how much you lift, things are going to go south. And at some point, you're not going to be hot. Your wife's not going to be hot. But if you love Jesus, you'll be together and you'll be happy. And so, yeah, to me, it's really sad that we've got an entire industry that is trying to create mental illness for young men through online overconsumption and addiction and comparison, and then trying to sell products. And all this is just freaking advertising trying to get you insecure and broke. And at the end of the day, any chick who says, well, he didn't hammer his jawline today, I can't marry him, I'll just tell you, she's not good for 50 years and great grandkids. So you may as well just hit the eject button on that relationship as soon as possible. At the end of the day, this is what happens when you're not thinking about God, marriage, family, future. You're just thinking about self. And so it's selfish, it's self-consumed. And to me, it's just weird. Like any dude who spends a lot of time in his underwear looking at himself in the mirror, I just threw up in my mouth thinking about it. I mean, the only reason a house should have a mirror is because there is a woman in it. Until you get a woman and marry her, I'm not sure you even need a mirror in your house. But we do live in the day too. It's weird where a whole generation, grew up with a phone where the best camera is just to take a photo of you. I don't know if you guys know this. Cameras used to be able to take photos of other people, and it wasn't primarily about you. People had better mental health. They had better relationships. They were more selfless. They were less self-consumed. They were less comparing of one to another, and there's less coveting and less jealousy. But just make no mistake, guys, some of the young guys too, you probably are thinking, oh my gosh, there's more conservative men than women. And where do we find a wife? All the chicks are lesbians and have accepted Kamala Harris in their heart. And where do we get a wife? Well, at the end of the day, guys, let me tell you this. Who cares about women? You only need one. You just got to find one girl. That's it. Here's your big job, is not to save women, it's just to meet one girl. One girl that loves the Lord, one girl that likes you, one girl that's a good friend, one girl that is going to be selfless and not selfish, one girl who's going to be loyal to you and not, riding other guys, a gal who ultimately wants to serve God with you and build a family and build a legacy and build a future. So take all of this time, energy, money, flush it. It's a total waste of time. And then humble yourself and serve, show up at a good church, find a gal who isn't on the internet and trying to find a guy who's looksmacking, and then just serve alongside of her in church, maybe even in kids ministry, and then marry her and love her and enjoy her and have a family with her and make babies with her and grow old with her. And stop buying stupid asinine products that are trying to think that masculinity is what you consume rather than what you produce, and it's what you buy rather than what you build. Well, if you're a parent, if you're a dad, you probably are diligent to protect the physical perimeter of your house. If you're a good man, you probably do security perimeter check before you go to bed at night. You probably have some sort of firearm and plan to defend your family in case of an invasion. And if you're smart, you probably got security cameras to make sure that your family is physically safe. Well, what's really hard is keeping your family digitally safe. And sometimes the families that are the most buttoned up physically, they're the most vulnerable digitally. And what we're seeing is a growing online trend of radicalization of underage individuals, teenagers oftentimes, that then compels them to do criminal, terroristic, diabolical, and demonic things. We'll show you the clip and then talk about the danger.
Were you trying to look good for your mugshot?
Oh, like a mugshot?
What, we're going to jail? What do you think?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, I was gonna do my makeup this morning.
You think I'll be able to fix my hair? Or you think I'll be in prison handcuffs? Well, I'm probably not gonna my involvement's not that long, so I'll be out before you. I'm probably not even get life to go to jail because my parents are gonna get me.
I started crying because I thought she was gonna feel bad, and send me to the psych ward because I was like, I thought about hurting someone. Yeah, I thought about hurting this boy. And then they saw.
So, the evidence is incontrovertible, and technology it can be morally neutral. So all technology does, it just connects to and amplifies and multiplies the human heart. And if you've got darkness and evil, if you've got demonic intention, then you have an old opportunity to multiply it in the same way that technology can be used to send out Bible teaching and teach people about Jesus. So technology isn't evil, but people are. And evil people will use technology to multiply and maximize evil. And what happens is for those who are exposed to technology too early, we know that their brains are not fully formed to the point where they can distinguish reality and have self-control. It's particularly true of young men, but young women as well. In addition, we know that the longer you are online, at some point, the descent always goes south. The algorithms, the platforms, they're not going to feed you better and healthier content. The longer you're on, they're going to wait for you to go into something that is dark or diabolical or demonic. And then you're going to go another click south. And then again, you're going to go another click south. And so really, this is all spiritual warfare in a digital age. And the goal is to get people addicted and also to get people to act out in self-destructive ways. And what we're now seeing is the radicalization of an entire generation of people that oftentimes already have mental health issues, meaning they're more susceptible and vulnerable to deception and to acting out in violent ways. We are seeing an increase with school shootings and plottings of school shootings and terrorist activities through teens that oftentimes they have been radicalized and they have been pushed toward criminal behavior through their time online chats and forums and things of that nature, sort and kind. And we live in this really sick world where you can live in another country and you can radicalize someone to a religious or a political ideology, and then they act out upon that, and then you disappear and you don't bear any of the legal responsibility. And instead, that person's life is ruined. And so it seems like to me, the reason that this clip went viral, you've got two teenage girls who literally do not understand the gravity of the situation they find themselves in. They're laughing in the back of a patrol car. As a minor, once you're convicted, your life changes. They're not understanding now for the rest of your life, you're going to have criminal activity on all of your employment applications. And now, you're going to be in jail probably for some time. In addition, you were looking at doing damage or even killing another human being, and you've lost touch with reality to the point where you think this is sort of funny and interesting, and your greatest concern is not what does the rest of my life look like and what was I going to do to another human being. Instead, it's how will I look on my mugshot. And so this is what happens when there is a generation that is addicted to attention. And sometimes the easiest way, the shortest distance between 2 points to get attention is to do something completely diabolical and shocking. And then you're infamous, which is just another way to be famous. There was a book some years ago written by Dr. Drew Pinsky. He's in Loveline and other shows. He's a psychologist to the stars, and it was called The Mirror Effect. I read it many years ago, and I was actually on the Loveline show with him some years ago. We talked about it offline. But it was at the very beginning of social media and the internet, and he had this really wonderful, insightful analysis. And I have no indication that he knows Jesus in my few conversations with him in years past. He doesn't seem to know Christ. But he said what happens is that celebrities model behavior, and then their followers mirror it. And so what a celebrity will do, they'll need to do something that's more say or do something that is just wild, outlandish, garish, something just sort of shocking. And then all the eyeballs go to it and they're like, did you see this or did you hear this? And so then the person who is the influencer, they model behavior, and then their followers, they mirror it. So now they're saying and doing what their influencer is saying and doing. It's like Russian nesting dolls. They're the big version, and then there's all these little copies. Well, then what happens is once everybody is saying or doing the thing that is outlandish, criminal, ghoulish, Well, it's no longer interesting. It no longer is an outlier. It no longer garners attention because now it's just common. So what happens then is the influencer either needs to do something more extreme, say something more extreme, or they sort of go down and they stop trending and they lose their platform, and then they're hawked to a girl and they're just gone forever. And then, or what happens is one of their followers or somebody else, they then rise up and say and do something that's even crazier than the person that preceded them. And then their followers, they start mirroring what they're modeling. Biblically, this is worship. As a Christian pastor, the Bible talks about we were made in the image of God, meaning we were made to mirror. And so God is supposed to be the one who is modeling, and then we're supposed to be the ones who are mirroring. God loves, so we love. God tells the truth, so we tell the truth. God forgives people, so we forgive people. When you lose a concept of mirroring God, you're still wanting to mirror, image, reflect, glorify, honor, praise someone, follow someone. And so you choose someone. Usually that's your influencer. And suddenly they replace God in your life. And now you are paying attention to them rather than God. Now you're wanting to become like them rather than God. Now you're wanting to say and do what they're saying and doing rather than God. And all of this is worship, and functionally it's called idolatry. And it is worshiping someone or something other than God. In the end of 1 John, he says, my dear little children, keep yourselves from idols. That's like the summary of the whole book of 1 John in the New Testament. This is what idolatry is. And so what you get are people like this, that what they are doing is mirroring something that someone else has been modeling. Someone has been telling them, online in some deep corner of the internet or platform or chat room, here's how you kill somebody. Here's how you make it on television. Here's how you be famous. And then there becomes this psychological push to act out in obedience. And when someone does that, they're destroying their entire life. And they're doing so as an act of worship to obey the person that they have had replace God as the highest authority in their life. And what they're doing is profoundly demonic, and it's deeply pagan. And it's not just behavior, it is a demonic stronghold. And so when this happens, and then you see like teenage girls who truly don't even have a corresponding concept of reality. Like, you were going to harm or kill someone, and now it's funny, and you're not thinking about prison. Obviously, they have no idea what goes on in jail. Throw a teenage girl in jail and tell me if she is laughing and worried about her makeup the next morning. She is crying and worried about her life. Furthermore, what happens when you are incarcerated, particularly, when these girls turn 18, I mean, they're going to get beaten, they're going to get sexually assaulted, they're going to be tormented, psychologically, they're going to be completely broken. And at the end of the day, especially the gal who's overweight, out of shape, obviously lived a very soft life, is now going into a very hard reality, in no way whatsoever is prepared for that, and is going to be entirely broken for the rest of her life. And apart from a miracle of God's grace, this is a girl that'll never be the same and never recover. And so, we do believe in freedom of speech, but at the same time, we also need to have a concept that we're dealing with human beings. And when young adults like this are acting out in these kind of ways as a dad, it's just devastating to me, and it's heartbreaking. Not only are they going to do damage and harm to someone else, they're going to destroy and devastate their entire life and their future. And these are the kind of people that, honestly, they have such mental health issues. Unless there's some real deliverance, their life is very short, because they don't think in terms of risk and planning and longevity and wisdom. And at some point they self-destruct or they self-harm. And so, yeah, if you are a parent with one of these children, get them help as soon as possible. And if you're one of these people that struggles with mental health, you're online too much, and you're starting to veer into the darker corners of the internet platforms and discussion chat rooms, just know that here's where it ends. Eventually, if you just continue on that road, here's where it ends: death. You kill someone or you kill yourself, because that's always the plot and plan of Satan and demons, is to steal, kill, and destroy. You either destroy someone else and or you destroy yourself. And so repentance is literally turning around and going the other direction. It's turning off your phone. It's getting to know the God of the Bible. It's starting to live in the real world, not the fantasy digital world. And also, to, as a parent, I would just encourage parents, do all you can to force your children to have a head-on collision with reality. When our kids were little, I would go do hospital visits and I would bring our children. They'd be like, "Dad, what happened to that guy?" Well, he was drinking and driving and he wrapped his car around a pole. This is actually a genuine hospital visit when my kids were little. So you see his legs, they'll never work again. He'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I had this conversation with my son. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, so he's never going to stand up again?" No, he'll never stand up again. I remember my son was little. It's like, "Well, Dad, what happened?" He drank alcohol and he got behind the wheel of a car. So, "Son, are you ever going to drink alcohol and get behind the wheel of a car?" "No, Dad, I want to walk." Okay. Reality is a really good instructor. I have taken my kids into hospital visits, not inappropriate for their age. I've taken them to funerals, not inappropriate for their age. And I've let them meet people that have self-destructed their lives, not inappropriate for their age, just so that my kids knew that there was cause and effect and there was consequence and reality. And sometimes kids who are on their phone all the time, they think everything is just another Netflix series of episodes, and they don't understand reality and the gravitational force of evil in the world. And so my encouragement to parents is, get your kids to deal with reality as soon as possible. One of the best things that the parents of these girls could have done, take them to a women's prison, right? Maybe find a pastor or a chaplain who's going and have them tag along for the day, and let them just spend a few hours in a women's prison and let them see what reality is. And then that becomes a great deterrent to not go there. I'll close with this. A buddy of mine some years ago, his dad took him back when they had STD wards, sexually transmitted disease wards, whole sections of the hospital where guys with syphilis and AIDS, they're all dying and, leaking fluids and slowly, painfully dying. And he started messing around with girls, and this was a long time ago. And his dad took him to the hospital into the STD ward and walked him around. It's like, "Dad, so this is what syphilis looks like, and this is what herpes looks like, and this is what AIDS looks like." And the little boy, well, he was not a little boy, he was a teenage young man, but he was just shell-shocked. He's like, "Oh my gosh, how do you not get this?" Keep it in your pants, meet your wife, and be faithful to her. You got nothing to worry about. That guy today, he's a pastor. Okay. The moral of the story is, sometimes we keep our children from reality. We hand them a phone, and then they learn before we teach them, and they learn when it's too late.